Hey everybody, this is Anthony. After a couple of busy weeks of exams, I'm back to making math videos. In this video, we're going to be discussing the inverse variation, what that means, what the equation looks like. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I have an example for you. And in this example, we have a table of data. And let's say, for instance, you're looking to travel and you're with a group of people, and you need to stay overnight someplace, whether it's an Airbnb, a hotel, someplace, anywhere. And the cost is set at $800 a night. Now, if you're the only person, guess what? You have to cover all $800. Now, if there's more of you going, you're able to split up the cost so it's less money per person. The idea with inverse variation is as your rate increases by a certain number, the output will decrease by that same rate. So for instance, if the number of people multiplies by 2, by a factor of 2, then your cost per person will decrease by a rate of 2. All right, so 1 times 2 is equal to 2. All right, 800 divided by 2 is equal to 400. All right, let's go ahead and check some of the other ones. If instead of 2 people going, there are 4 people going, then we're going to multiply it to get from 1 to 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 800 divided by 4 is now equal to 200. And this also makes sense because, well, we want to cover the full cost of the night of the hotel room, which is $800. If we multiply the x and the y, we should always get $800. So 2 times 400, 800. 4 times 200, 800. 5 times 160, 800. 8 times 100, 800. Now, if there's 10 people going, well, each person's going to have to pay $80 in order to cover the 800. All right. Now, the number that we get when we multiply x times y, in this case n times c, number of people n, and our output cost per person, which is c, whatever number we get, that's equal to k. So in this case, we have n times c. This will be our constant. All right, and that will go right up here. So for this data that we're dealing with, our equation for the inverse variation would be y is equal to 800 over x. And now, no matter what, now that we've set up our equation, let's say we want to find out what the cost is if 5 people want to do, oh, sorry, we already have 5 people, if 3 people want to travel. So we would just take 800 divided by 3, and using some division, we would get 800 divided by 3 is equal to approximately $266.67 per person. Okay? So if we go ahead and graph this out for every input of number of people, put a dot, so there's 1 for 800, 2 for 400. For 4, we're going to have 200. For 5, we're going to have 160. We'll just estimate a little bit. For 8, we're going to have 100. And for 10, we're going to be all the way down here at 80. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and rotate this a little bit. So all right. Now, as the number of people increase, we see that the price per person is going to decrease. So this inverse variation, this function that we have here, you'll notice as the input increases and goes to the right, the outputs decrease and they get closer and closer to the x-axis. All right. Now, in our example here, it does not make sense because we're dealing with number of people to have less than 1 person. But as you can see, as the number of people decrease, the price per person will increase. All right, so as we go to the left, we go up. As we go to the right, we go down. This is the inverse variation. All right, so I have an example here for us. Write an equation in which y varies inversely as x if one pair of values is y equals 240 and x is equal to 0.4. All right. Well, a couple things that we should know from here is that our equation is y is equal to k over x. So I'm going to start with that. And now I also know that if we're trying to figure out what k is equal to, as we did here, well, k is equal to the input times the output. 1 times 800, 800. 2 times 400, 800. 4 times 200, 800. So 240 times 0.4, because 0.4 is the input, 240 is the output. All right, to do some mental math, I'm going to pretend that this is 4 and not 0.4 for this moment. We're going to get 960, but then we're going to move the decimal place 1 to the left, so we get 96. This is our k. Input times output is equal to the constant. So our equation for the direct variation is y is equal to 96 divided by x. So I hope this video helps you, and if there's any questions, let me know in the comments below. Share with a friend if this helps, subscribe, all that. All right.